So the current version of competitive play has only been available to try on the PC version of the public test realm for a few days now, and they are already thinking about making some major changes. How's it going, everybody? Force here, and today we're going to talk about the death of sudden death, potentially. Jeff Kaplan back at it once again, dropping some developer insight, which, by the way, before we get into this, can I just say how refreshing it is to have a developer so open, like almost on a daily basis, just writing paragraphs and paragraphs about where they are in the development process and what they're thinking and what they're working on. Like, it's kind of a crazy amount of transparency, one that might eventually come back and bite them in the ass, depending on if they say the wrong thing and the community is like, ah! But so far, I think it's great. I mean, for me, it's nice to see the thought process of someone who makes these games that we love. But anyways, let's jump into what we're talking about here today. So since competitive play became available for testing on the public test realm, they've gotten lots of great feedback. They're seeing a lot of the fact that we like the skill rating system, we like the strong lever penalty, we like the changes to assault, and we like the fact that pre-mades are shown in the UI when a match begins. Now, he stated that they also hear loud and clear that the community is not happy with two major things. Number one is the coin flip, and number two is the sudden death mode that is associated with it. They're feeling like they're getting really close to tuning the attacker versus defender advantage to try to make it even. The numbers that they have on the back end are actually saying that it's a lot closer than many people might exaggerate it to be. Of course, what that means is people are like, oh, on this map the attackers always win, or on this map the defenders always win. Basically what he's saying is it's not as one-sided as people presume it to be. However, the community does have a negative perception to the fact that a coin flip is basically deciding the matches. Let's talk about the sudden death mechanic. Back in the beta, it was basically occurring about 35% of the time, and they felt like that was way too often. Now, with the current system, the frequency of sudden death occurring looks like this. On the assault maps, which have the new time bank mechanic, and these are of course Temple of Anubis, Hanamura, and Volskaya Industries, sudden death is only happening 9% of the time. On escort maps like Dorado, Gibraltar, and Route 66, sudden death is happening 16 to 18% of the time, and on the hybrid maps, Numbani, Kings Row, and Hollywood, it's happening 20 to 29% of the time. So they really feel like on the escort and hybrid maps that sudden death is still happening way too often. They like to get it closer to where the assault maps are, which is only occurring 9% of the time. So what's gonna change? What are they gonna do to make this happen? Well, in the short term, they're gonna make the following changes. Initial match time for assault, escort, and hybrid maps will be reduced from 5 minutes to 4 minutes. And then on top of that, if sudden death occurs, the timer will be reduced from 2 minutes to 1 minute and 45 seconds. So basically what's going to happen is this will make it so that competitive play games are shorter, giving us a chance to play them more often, but also the shorter match times makes it less likely that both teams will finish the map and get to that final checkpoint, and with both teams being less likely to finish the map, that should reduce the number of sudden deaths that happen. Now, these are the changes that we can expect to happen immediately that will be coming forth when competitive mode goes live next week, I believe it is. But what about the long term? They've got more changes that they're planning on working on. Essentially, in the future, they're looking to add the time bank system that is currently used on the assault maps to both the escort and hybrid maps. So it's gonna work like this. Both teams get a chance to attack, and if they both successfully push the payload all the way to the end of the map, they get a second round with their remaining time. And whoever pushes it the furthest in that second round subsequently wins. So this will significantly reduce the chance of sudden deaths, because sudden death will now only occur if one of three things happened. Either A, neither team pushes the payload at all, B, neither team captures the payload on the hybrid maps where you have to first capture a point before you push the payload, or C, both teams push it all the way to the end with overtime remaining. So those are the three scenarios in which both teams would tie again and have to go into sudden death. The chances of that stuff happening will be very, very infrequent compared to the chances of getting into sudden death currently. And then on top of that, further down the road, they're also looking to just possibly remove sudden death entirely. Just get rid of the mechanic. And if a tie happens to occur, the game will just end in a draw. As to the time frames, again, these short-term changes of reducing the match time, that'll be happening with the summer session that's starting very soon. The long-term changes that we just discussed, those those will not likely happen until later in the fall season, as these are big overhauls that they have to make to the system that just take a lot of time to implement. And they said, we'd rather get competitive mode out now and have people work towards their competitive progression than have to stall it even further and possibly not release it until the fall, which I think is a smart move. So some pretty big changes coming to competitive play, hilariously enough, so soon after we test it. Like, the current iteration has only been testable for a couple of days, and they're already talking about some pretty significant changes. I have to say, overall, I'm really happy with the direction that they appear to be taking this. In fact, yesterday, when we talked about the sudden death mechanic and we talked about potential alternatives, the thing that I said that I liked the most was the idea of this time bank, where each team starts with a set amount of time and they keep attacking until they use up that time, and then you see how many points each team got. I'm of course not going to take all the credit for that idea, but I think it's really good that that's the direction that they're going. I mean, obviously, I like it, so of course I think it's good. I think ultimately, if they can reduce sudden death from happening as often and get it down closer to 5% to 10%, that'll be a better thing. And in fact, I'm not totally against their idea of potentially just getting rid of the sudden death mechanic entirely and then saying, okay, if both teams still happen to have a draw, then it's just a tie. The game ends in a tie, and then that's it. There you go. Move on to your next match. All right, guys, well, that is going to do it for me here today. Just wanted to let you know about the upcoming planned changes to competitive play, both what we'll see in the summer session and then what they've got planned for later this fall. As always, let me know what you guys think about these planned changes, about what we talked about here, and about this video in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic afternoon, and until next time, I'll see you later.